Welcome to another episode of Living with Purpose. On these podcasts, which are short format, we bring people from all walks of life to share their journey on how they are living with purpose and also share with you, our listeners, one golden nugget, a piece of advice that we can all live with. So with that, let me welcome Michael Tjalve, who is a veteran of the technology industry, but more importantly, he has spent almost 20 years of his life focused on AI and the use of AI even before it became prominent in the space of linguistics and then in the space of humanitarian impact. So with that, let me welcome Michael. Michael, welcome to the podcast, Living with Purpose.
Thank you very much, Actor. Thank you for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to have a sit-down conversation with you. It's good to be here today.
Michael has also been very kind enough to come to my class and share his words of wisdom with my students. He's also a faculty lecturer, adjunct professor at the University of Washington. So, Michael, to start off with, share with our listeners one golden nugget, a piece of wisdom you have collected on your journey.
Yes, I think one thing that has really helped me over the years is seeking diversity of input. And so in addition to it being, of course, just sheer common sense, there's a lot of data to support that teams with diversity and lived experiences creates healthier work environments, build better products, and make better informed decisions, of course, guided by a broader set of perspectives, which reduces the risk of blind spots. And so that's more of a, let's say, a macro level. But I also use this for my own challenges. So it's not just about accepting or encouraging diversity of input. It's really about proactively seeking it. So, for example, if I have a challenge I need to address, let's say, for example, a technical challenge around, let's say, how to make best use of AI for a certain scenario, I make a conscious effort out of seeking advice, both from experts, but also from non-experts. They will obviously give very different advice and suggestions, but I always get something new and something unexpected from non-experts. There's something remarkably deliberating about not being limited by well-established assumptions about what's possible. And so at the same time, if I can describe the challenge in a way that a non-expert can understand it, I have a better chance of understanding some of the underlying patterns that go into that. So I try to use this approach as much as I can.
This is great. So diversity. And again, diversity comes about because you are encouraging people to be authentic in the way they want to show up.
Exactly.
So now let's talk about purpose and how you use it to show up in life to inspire others. Why is purpose important to you?
Yeah, I think purpose is sort of how we bring ourselves to what we do on a daily basis in life, in work. It can really help fuel anything you sort of really engage with to bring your own fully into that context, that situation. So as you alluded to, I've been working for a long time in the technology sector. More specifically, I've been working on artificial intelligence my entire career. And I've always enjoyed talking about AI, helping others understand what AI is, how it works, how it makes decisions, how it makes mistakes, how you can leverage its potential while avoiding some of the risks of negative outcomes. And so now more than ever, there's really broad interest and need for helping people to understand how to make responsible use of AI. So I feel I get a lot of energy from these kind of discussions, and I feel it's a place where I can provide value. And so I see that sort of where I bring purpose into my work on a daily basis.
That's fabulous. So give one example of how you are using purpose as a renewable source of energy for yourself to keep moving, first through tough times, but then also through good times. Mm-hmm. Because purpose gets applied at all walks of our lives. So share a bit of examples around it.
That's a good question. And it's true. Purpose sort of it's the red thread throughout everything we do. If you're more deeply, more directly aligned to purpose, you are able to bring more of yourself to the table. So I recently left my tech sector job at Microsoft Philanthropies to start a new venture dedicated to advising humanitarian organizations on the use of AI. And It's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and it became increasingly clear that it was right at the intersection of what I love to do, what I'm good at, and where I feel that I can have the biggest impact. So from my point of view, that's sort of really where I have applied the notion of purpose to what I can do, what I choose to do. And so over the past couple of years or so, there's been really a seismic shift in how AI is used. And across the humanitarian sector, there's both excitement and there's concern about how to use AI, but there's also a genuine lack of understanding of how to get started. So this is where I feel that I can provide real value. And this is something that gets me really excited. It's something that really gives me energy in what I do.
So to talk about AI, I'd be remiss for our listeners to actually not get you to talk a little bit more about AI and its impact on humanity. But let's kind of frame it within the context of purpose-driven AI that allows people to show up with authenticity, organizations to show up with authenticity, and how AI, rather than creating a single voice, can actually lead to diversity.
Yeah, it's a complex situation because AI can provide so much. It can really function as an equalizer. It can help people access and use technology in a way that's been hard to do before. At the same time, it also stands the risk of deepening and emphasizing existing inequities across society. We all sort of very excited about how modern generative AI works today. It's important to understand that that's only the case for a relatively small number of languages. Works very well in English and let's say maybe 10 other languages. But that means that the majority of the world population do not see the benefit of this. And so it requires conscious effort to counter that trend of deepening inequities, but it's also where AI has a role to play in that. So that's a key challenge, but one that's really important to focus on.
So, you've done a lot of work on this space through Microsoft. Maybe give one example where you think your support to one of these large humanitarian organizations through the effective use of technology has led them to show up with more diversity and authenticity?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think one thing is to start small, really. So for new organizations who are starting to use AI, to start with some low-hanging fruit, something that's easy to get started with, to build confidence, familiarity, and trust in the use of AI, understand how it works, how it behaves, and then from there sort of build out some bigger implementations. The good thing about, let's say, generative AI, and one thing we've seen over the past couple of years is that people are using it not just as part of their toolbox at work, but across their personal lives as well. And so many, many more people over the past couple of years have gotten exposure to the use of AI, what it can do for them, what kind of role it can play in both their personal lives and their professional lives. And so that means that people use it in many, many different ways. And there's a very sort of unique aspect to where people find value in the use of AI.
This has been a fascinating conversation. We can continue this into a long format discussion, but
absolutely,
we have decided that this is going to be a short format conversation that can be digested quickly for people, but also brings in diverse perspectives. So again, diversity, authenticity are key to how one can show up with purpose. So finding one purpose is a lifelong journey. It evolves with life circumstances and priorities. Again, remember, individuals are not problems to be solved, but mysteries to be embraced. Michael, thank you very much for joining us on this session. Join us for another episode of Living with Purpose.
Does your company have a story to tell about purpose? Become a part of our book series. Visit onegoldennugget.com/living with purpose.